The crystal throne room of the Caliph Empire sparkled under three suns, casting rainbow patterns across the marble floor. Empress Zara stood at the massive viewing window, watching transport ships carry supplies to the outer colonies. Her reflection showed a tall figure with silver skin and bright blue eyes that had seen too much war in her 200 years of life. "Your Majesty," came a voice behind her. General Vex, her military advisor, entered with heavy footsteps. His scarred face carried bad news. "The Mordok houses have formed an alliance. They control 15 sectors now." Zara turned from the window. The Caliph Empire had ruled this part of the galaxy for over 1,000 years. But lately, rebellions sprouted like weeds after rain. 3 major house families wanted her throne, and they grew bolder each day. "How long before they move against us?" she asked. 6 months, maybe less. Vex placed a data tablet on her desk. "They have ships, weapons, and support from the mining guilds. We need allies, Your Majesty." Zara picked up the tablet and scrolled through intelligence reports. Each page showed her empire shrinking. The outer worlds questioned her authority. Trade routes faced constant attack. Even some of her own nobles whispered about choosing new leadership. "What do you suggest?" she asked. "Marriage?" The voice came from Chancellor Drex, her political advisor, who entered the throne room with his usual quiet steps. "A union that brings us new allies and resources." Zara had expected this advice. Royal marriages served as political tools throughout galactic history. Her own parents had united 2 smaller empires through marriage, creating the foundation for Caliph dominance. "Which house offers the best alliance?" she asked. "Actually," Drex said carefully, "we suggest looking beyond the traditional noble houses. The galaxy has changed, Your Majesty. New species have joined galactic civilization. Some offer unique advantages." Vex activated a holographic display showing a small blue and green planet. "This is Earth, home to a species called humans. They made contact with galactic civilization 5 years ago." Zara studied the planet. It looked unremarkable compared to the massive worlds that housed advanced civilizations. "What can such a young species offer us?" "They have proven surprisingly adaptable," Drex explained. "Human diplomats have successfully negotiated with 12 different species. Their ambassador has requested formal relations with the Caliph Empire. One human in particular has caught our attention," Vex added, bringing up a new image. "Ben Torres, their lead diplomat to this sector." The hologram showed a man of average height with dark hair and brown eyes. By galactic standards, he appeared completely ordinary. No natural armor like the Caliph people. No telepathic crown like the Zephyrian race. No massive build like the warrior clans of Drakmor. "He looks rather ... double quotes, searching for a polite word. Weak, Vex finished bluntly. "Exactly our point. A marriage to him would appear non-threatening to the noble houses. They would see no challenge to your authority from such a spouse." Drex nodded agreement. "Meanwhile, an alliance with humanity could provide us access to their unique perspectives and technologies. They have shown remarkable innovation for such a new species." Zara considered the proposal. Political marriages often involved complicated negotiations with powerful families who wanted influence over imperial decisions. A husband from a minor species would cause less internal conflict. "Have you met this Ben Torres?" she asked. "He arrived last week with a diplomatic mission," Drex replied. "Very professional, speaks our language fluently, despite humans only learning it recently. His team has been studying our culture and customs." "Arrange a meeting," Zara decided. "If I am to consider this path, I should at least meet the candidate." 3 days later, Ben Torres entered the smaller receiving room, where Zara held private audiences. She had chosen this space instead of the main throne room to create a less intimidating atmosphere. The human wore simple formal clothes that looked comfortable rather than impressive. "Your Majesty," Ben said, offering a respectful bow that matched Caliph customs perfectly. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." Zara gestured to a chair across from her. "Please, sit. I understand you wish to discuss relations between our peoples." Ben settled into the chair with easy confidence. "Earth hopes to build lasting friendships throughout the galaxy. The Caliph Empire represents one of the oldest and most stable civilizations we have encountered. They spent an hour discussing trade possibilities, cultural exchange programs, and diplomatic protocols. Zara found herself impressed by Ben's knowledge of galactic politics, despite his species' recent arrival. He asked thoughtful questions about Calith, history, and seemed genuinely interested in her people's achievements. You seem quite well informed. For someone whose planet only joined galactic civilization 5 years ago, she observed. Ben smiled. Humans are fast learners. We have to be coming into a galaxy with so many established powers. We study everything carefully before making decisions. Over the following weeks, Ben attended various court functions and cultural events. Zara noticed how he interacted with different groups. He spoke with young nobles about their concerns, listened to military officers discuss strategy, and even spent time with palace workers, learning about their daily routines. The court's initial reaction matched her advisor's predictions. Most nobles dismissed Ben as harmless. Some even made jokes about the pet human that their empress was considering. This attitude suited Zara's political needs perfectly. However, she began noticing details that others missed. During a military briefing about border conflicts, Ben asked questions that showed deep understanding of tactical situations. When noble houses presented territorial disputes, he suggested solutions that addressed underlying problems rather than surface issues. You have interesting insights into our strategic challenges, she mentioned during a private dinner. Perspectives can be helpful, Ben replied simply. Sometimes an outside view sees patterns that are hard to notice from within. Their relationship developed gradually. Zara appreciated Ben's directness after dealing with nobles who spoke in layers of hidden meaning. He treated her as a person, rather than just a title, asking about her interests and opinions beyond imperial matters. During a walk through the palace gardens, she asked about his background. What did you do before becoming a diplomat? I served my planet in various capacities, Ben answered. Humans often change roles throughout their careers. We believe diverse experience makes us more effective. What kind of service? Government work, mostly. Some travel to different regions of Earth. My planet has many different cultures and environments, so we learn to adapt to various situations. Zara sensed there was more to his background, but she respected his privacy. Many species had customs about discussing personal history with new acquaintances. As weeks passed, their courtship became official. The announcement drew mixed reactions from the court. Progressive nobles supported the union as a sign of Calith openness to new ideas. Traditional houses grumbled about foreign influence, but saw no real threat from such a seemingly minor alliance. Ben continued to surprise her with his thoughtfulness. He learned Calith poetry to recite at cultural ceremonies. He studied their ancient philosophy to better understand imperial traditions. Most impressively, he spent time with palace staff and common citizens, showing respect for all levels of society. The people seemed to like him, General Vex reported during a private meeting. Even the kitchen workers speak well of the human ambassador. That could be useful, Zara replied. A ruler needs support from all social levels. The engagement announcement brought congratulations from allied worlds and neutral responses from potential enemies. The Mordock houses made no official comment, which Zara interpreted as dismissal of the marriage's significance. During their engagement period, Zara noticed Ben's unusual habits. He woke early each morning and disappeared for an hour before breakfast. When she asked about this routine, he explained it as morning exercise to stay healthy. He also had impressive endurance during long court sessions that left other species tired. While Calith nobles took breaks after 3 hours of meetings, Ben remained alert and engaged throughout entire days of diplomatic discussions. Your stamina is remarkable, she mentioned after an 8-hour negotiation session with trade representatives. Humans are built for persistence, Ben replied. We don't give up easily when something matters to us. His emotional control also impressed her. During tense moments when negotiations turned heated or when nobles made insulting comments about his species, Ben remained calm and professional. He never lost his temper or showed offense, even when provoked. 3 months into their engagement, Concerning reports arrived from the border regions. Mordock forces had increased their presence near Calath territories. Intelligence suggested they were planning major operations. They grow bolder, General Vex warned during a security briefing. Our sources indicate possible coordinated attacks on 3 fronts. Ben attended these meetings as Zara's betrothed, though most military officers still viewed him as a curious observer rather than a contributor. However, Zara noticed he asked specific questions about enemy movements and resource allocation that showed surprising tactical awareness. Seemed to understand military strategy. Well, for a diplomat, she observed privately. Humans study many subjects, Ben replied. Understanding conflict helps us work toward peace more effectively. The wedding date approached amid growing tension. Intelligence reports showed unusual activity in systems controlled by hostile houses. Trade ships reported increased patrols and questioning by Mordock forces. They are preparing something major, Chancellor Drex warned. Perhaps waiting until after the wedding when they think you will be distracted. Zara increased palace security and military readiness while continuing wedding preparations. The ceremony would demonstrate stability and strength to both allies and enemies. Ben remained calm throughout the heightened security measures. While other court members showed stress about potential threats, he maintained his usual steady demeanor. Zara found his presence reassuring during an uncertain time, the night before the wedding. She found Ben standing on the balcony overlooking the capital city. Millions of lights stretched to the horizon, representing the civilization they were about to unite through marriage. "Are you nervous?" she asked, joining him at the balcony rail. "About tomorrow?" "No." He looked out at the city with steady eyes. "I believe we are making the right choice for both our peoples. Even though you are marrying into a dangerous situation, the threats against my empire are real." Ben turned to face her. For a moment, she saw something deeper in his expression, like looking into a well that was much deeper than it appeared from the surface. "Danger is part of life," he said simply. "What matters is how we face it together." The wedding ceremony took place in the great cathedral, with representatives from dozens of worlds in attendance. Zara wore traditional silver robes that reflected the light of ceremonial crystals. Ben wore a formal attire that combined human and Calath styles. The ceremony proceeded according to ancient traditions. They exchanged vows in both languages, promising to stand together through peace and conflict. When they sealed their union with the traditional hand binding, Zara felt Ben's steady strength through the contact. The reception celebration continued into the evening hours. Nobles from across the empire offered congratulations and gifts. Allied worlds sent messages of support. Even the ceremony's beauty and dignity impressed usually critical court observers. As the celebration reached its peak, warning alarms suddenly echoed through the palace halls. Emergency lights activated, bathing the reception hall in red warning colors. Palace guards rushed to positions throughout the building. General Vex burst into the hall, his face grim with urgent news. "Your Majesty, we have multiple reports. Mordock forces are attacking 3 border systems simultaneously. Our early warning stations have gone silent." The celebration atmosphere vanished instantly. Nobles looked around with worry and confusion. Some moved toward exits, thinking of their own safety and properties. "How extensive are the attacks?" Zara demanded. "Unknown, Your Majesty. Communications are being jammed across the affected sectors. But there's more." Vex hesitated, glancing around at the crowd of guests. "Our internal security has detected unusual activity within the palace itself." Zara's blood chilled. Palace security was supposed to be impenetrable. If enemies had infiltrated her own stronghold, the situation was far worse than border attacks. "Clear the hall," she ordered. "Get all guests to secure areas immediately." As guards began evacuating the reception, explosions echoed from distant parts of the palace. The sounds were too close to organize to be random attacks. Someone had planned this assault with precise timing and inside knowledge. Zara looked around for Ben, finding him standing calmly amid the chaos while other guests panicked. His expression had changed completely. The polite diplomat was gone, replaced by someone whose eyes held a different kind of focus entirely.
"This way?"
"Your Majesty," General Vex called. gesturing toward the secure corridor that led to protected areas of the palace. Before they could move, armed figures burst through the main entrance to the reception hall. They wore the black uniforms of Mordok House forces, but carried weapons that should not have been able to penetrate palace defenses. "Surrender yourself." "False Empress," their leader called out in a voice amplified by combat gear. "Your reign ends tonight." The reception hall erupted into chaos as Mordok soldiers advanced through the smoke. Nobles screamed and ran in all directions while palace guards struggled to respond to the sudden assault. Emergency lights cast everything in harsh red shadows. "Stay behind me," Ben told Zara quietly. His voice completely different from the gentle diplomat she had married hours earlier. Before she could respond, Ben moved forward with fluid speed that defied everything the court believed about human limitations. The first Mordok soldier raised his energy weapon, but Ben had already closed the distance. A precise strike to the soldier's wrist sent the weapon flying across the room. Zara watched in stunned silence as her new husband demonstrated combat skills that seemed impossible. Ben moved like water, flowing around enemy attacks while delivering devastating counters. His movements followed no fighting style in any galactic database. The lead Mordok soldier fired directly at Ben from close range. Somehow, Ben twisted away from the energy beam while simultaneously grabbing the soldier's weapon arm. A sharp movement that looked almost casual, and the soldier's arm bent at an unnatural angle. "Impossible," General Vex whispered. "No species moves that fast without cybernetic enhancement." More Mordok forces poured through side entrances, coordinating their attack with military precision. This was no random assault, but a carefully planned operation. They moved to surround the remaining palace defenders while cutting off escape routes. Ben pulled Zara behind an overturned table as energy beams scorched the air around them. "How many security teams are still active in the palace?" he asked General Vex. "Unknown," Vex replied, returning fire at the attackers. "Communications are jammed throughout most sections." Ben touched a device on his wrist that Zara had never noticed before. "Hawk Team, this is Eagle 1. Begin Phase 2 immediately." "Who are you calling?" Zara demanded. "That communication device is not standard diplomatic equipment." Before Ben could answer, new sounds echoed through the palace corridors. Explosions, but different from the Mordok attacks. These came from strategic points throughout the building, followed by the distinct hum of advanced human technology. "Phase 2 of what operation?" General Vex asked with growing suspicion. "The operation to protect the Caliph Empire," Ben replied, checking his wrist device again. "My people have been positioned throughout your palace for the past month." Zara stared at her husband in shock. "You have been spying on us?" "We have been protecting you," Ben corrected. "Human intelligence detected this coup attempt 6 weeks ago. We chose to let it proceed so we could identify all participants and eliminate the threat completely." The admission hit Zara like a physical blow. Everything she thought she knew about Ben, about their relationship, had been built on deception. "So our marriage is just another part of your operation?" Ben's expression softened for a moment. "My feelings for you are real, Zara, but yes. The marriage was designed to position Earth as a key ally while gathering intelligence on galactic power structures." More Mordok soldiers entered the hall, but these immediately came under attack from new directions. Human soldiers appeared from concealment positions that palace security had never detected. They wore advanced armor that adapted to their surroundings, making them nearly invisible until they chose to reveal themselves. "How many humans are in my palace?" Zara asked, with a mixture of anger and amazement. "Enough," Ben replied simply. He stood up from their cover position as the immediate threat diminished. "Stay here while I coordinate the response. You will not give me orders in my own palace," Zara snapped. But Ben was already moving. He approached the captured Mordok soldiers with the confidence of someone accustomed to command. When he spoke, his voice carried an authority that made even enemy combatants pay attention. "Your communication with the orbital fleet has been cut," Ben informed the lead attacker. "Your forces at the 3 border systems have been neutralized by human fleet elements. This coup attempt has failed completely." The Mordok soldier laughed bitterly. "Impossible. Your species barely has space travel capability." Ben smiled coldly. That is what we wanted you to believe. He activated his wrist device again. The main display screen in the reception hall came alive with tactical information. Star charts showed the current positions of ships throughout Calith space. Red markers indicated Mordock forces, blue showed Calith defenders, green represented human units. Zara studied the display with growing amazement. Human ships were everywhere, positioned at strategic points throughout her empire. Not just a few vessels, but entire fleets that had somehow remained undetected. We have been observing galactic civilization for much longer than 5 years, Ben explained to the room. The official first contact was simply when we chose to reveal ourselves. General Vex approached the display with professional interest, despite his confusion. These fleet positions are perfect for coordinated defense. How long have you been planning this? Years, Ben admitted. Human long-term strategic planning operates on different timescales than most species consider practical. The palace shook again, but these vibrations came from above. Through the large windows, they could see flashes of light in the orbital space around the planet. A space battle was taking place directly over the capital. Your orbital defense network was compromised from within, Ben continued, addressing the captured enemies. The traitors in your Empress's court have been under human surveillance for months. We know every detail of your plan. Zara felt the ground shift beneath her understanding of reality. Traitors in my court? 3 of your closest advisors, Ben confirmed. They have been feeding information to the Mordock houses while weakening your defenses from within. We have complete records of their communications. He touched his wrist device, and new information appeared on the display. Communication logs, financial transfers, and meeting records showing a conspiracy that reached deep into the heart of Calith government. Chancellor Drex suggested this marriage, Zara realized with growing anger. He wanted me to marry someone who seemed harmless, because we told him to suggest it, Ben replied. Drex has been working with Mordock intelligence for 2 years. We fed him information about my supposed diplomatic background. Knowing he would recommend me as a safe choice, the revelation staggered Zara. Her trusted advisor had betrayed not only her throne, but her personal happiness. So you manipulated him to manipulate me? We manipulated everyone, Ben said simply. Humans excel at long-term deception when necessary for larger strategic goals. More human soldiers entered the hall, escorting several figures in custody. Zara recognized them with shock and fury. Chancellor Drex, Admiral Korth from the Space Fleet, and Lady Venna from the Noble Council. 3 of her most trusted advisors, now revealed as traitors, Your Majesty. Drex began with his usual smooth voice. I can explain everything if you will only listen. Explain how you sold our people to foreign powers. Zara's voice carried the full authority of imperial wrath. Explain how you betrayed 1,000 years of Calith civilization. Ben stepped forward before Drex could respond. Save your explanations for the trial. Human intelligence has documented every transaction, every meeting, every piece of classified information you provided to enemy forces. The scope of human intelligence gathering was becoming clear to everyone in the room. They had not simply detected the coup attempt, but had been tracking the conspiracy from its beginning. How extensive is human infiltration of galactic civilization? General Vex asked, with professional respect, despite his concerns. Extensive enough, Ben replied. We learned early that survival in a galaxy full of established powers required superior intelligence capabilities. Palace guards began securing the area as human soldiers withdrew to less visible positions. The immediate crisis was ending, but larger questions remained. Zara looked at her husband with emotions she could barely sort through. Who are you really? She demanded. Ben straightened into a formal military posture that revealed his true nature. Colonel Benjamin Torres, commanding officer of Human Special Operations Command. My mission was to establish strategic alliance with the Calith Empire, while neutralizing threats to galactic stability. And marrying me was part of this mission? Initially, yes. Ben's expression became more personal. But my feelings developed beyond the mission parameters. That was an unexpected complication. Complication, Zara repeated the word with bitter emphasis. Poor choice of words, Ben admitted. What I mean is that caring for you personally made this mission more complex than anticipated. The orbital battle was ending, visible through the windows as the flashes of combat moved away from the planet. Human tactical displays showed Mordock forces retreating in disorder while combined human and Calith fleets pursued. Your space fleet performed excellently once the traitors were removed from command positions, Ben reported to General Vex. Captain Torres sends her compliments to your tactical officers. Captain Torres? Zara asked. My sister leads the human fleet elements in this sector, Ben explained. Family connections help ensure communication security. The casual mention of family members in key military positions revealed another layer of human strategic thinking. They place related individuals in critical roles to maintain loyalty and coordination. How many members of your family are involved in this operation? Zara asked. Several. Humans often organize military operations around family units when long-term loyalty is essential. A new human officer entered the hall, wearing equipment that clearly identified her as a communications specialist. Colonel, we have secured all primary objectives. Mordock command structure has been neutralized across 7 systems. Casualties? Ben asked. Minimal on all sides. Surgical strikes as planned. Most enemy forces are intact for potential integration into Allied commands. Zara listened to the professional military discussion with growing understanding. The humans had not simply defeated the coup attempt, but had planned for the aftermath. They thought in terms of rebuilding rather than destruction. You plan to preserve enemy forces? She asked. Converting enemies into allies is more valuable than destroying them, Ben explained. Humans prefer solutions that increase long-term stability. General Vex nodded with appreciation. Wise strategy. Dead enemies cannot become future friends. The communications officer continued her report. The 3 Mordock houses have agreed to negotiations for formal surrender. They request terms for integration into the Imperial system under new leadership. They want to negotiate. Zara was surprised that proud military houses would consider such options. When faced with overwhelming tactical disadvantage, most rational commanders choose survival over pointless destruction, Ben replied. We made sure they understood their position clearly. Display screen updated to show the final positions of all military forces. Human ships had taken strategic control of every major system in the region while suffering virtually no losses. It was the most complete military victory in galactic history. How is such coordination possible without years of preparation? General Vex asked with genuine professional curiosity. We did prepare for years, Ben answered. Human strategic planning began the day we first detected galactic civilization. Everything since then has been carefully orchestrated to reach this point. Zara walked to the large window overlooking her capital city. The streets below were peaceful, unaware that their government had just survived a complete overthrow attempt. Her people were safe, but everything she understood about her own empire had changed. What happens now? She asked without turning around. Ben approached carefully, respecting her need for space, while staying close enough for private conversation. That depends on what you decide about our marriage and the alliance it represents. Do I have a choice? Your people seem to control everything now. You always have a choice, Ben said firmly. Human policy is based on voluntary cooperation, not forced submission. If you choose to annul our marriage and reject alliance with Earth, we will respect that decision. Zara turned to study his face, looking for deception or manipulation. Instead, she saw genuine concern and respect. And if I choose to honor our marriage despite the deception, then we build something new together. A partnership between species that combines Calith wisdom and stability with human adaptability and strategic thinking. As partners with different strengths, Ben corrected, humans excel at certain capabilities, but we have much to learn from Calith civilization. True partnership requires both sides contributing their best qualities. General Vex approached them carefully. Your Majesty, the immediate crisis has passed, but decisions about future alliance structure should be made soon. Other galactic powers are watching these events closely. Zara looked around the reception hall where her wedding celebration had turned into a battlefield, and then into a demonstration of human capabilities. Everything had changed in a few hours. I need time to process all of this information, she said finally. Of course, Ben agreed. This has been overwhelming for everyone. But first, I want complete honesty about human involvement in galactic affairs. No more hidden fleets or secret operations. Thanks for watching.